Hi everyone, hope you can hear me on the Zoom call. We're going to kick off in the room as ever. Going to start with Emma from Arsenal this time, then we'll come to the broadcast section with you, Gail and Bradley. Emma.
Can I just warn you, we're taking it live.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Jonas, just a reflection on the incredible support on Wednesday, a record attendance for us in the Champions League at Emirates Stadium. What does it mean to know that these attendances the crowds are bringing in is becoming routine for this team?
Yeah, I don't think routine in that sense where we don't feel really grateful for it, because we do. I think it's an amazing atmosphere and moment every time we can go out and play in front of big crowds, and especially with our Arsenal supporters. So we're grateful for it, and it's a massive part of the strong performance that we had against Bayern Munich. It's the supporters.
A number that has literally just come in as we've passed 10,000 tickets sold already, 5,000 already sold in the first 24 hours for our semi-final against Wolfsburg. How much of a huge lift is that going to be for the team in preparation for that massive game?
Yeah, I mean, we're all filled with dreams, and I think you're allowed to have dreams when you're playing in a semi-final, because you're not very far away from playing a final. And I mean, we also have dreams on the atmosphere that we can create here in a semi-final here at Emirates. And what if we can make it a sellout game? What if this can be the greatest atmosphere that we ever played for this season? I mean, I think it's possible. It's a dream that can become a possibility. So continue to buy tickets and be part of something special.
Thank you. Gail.
Sure, you've had plenty of big weeks as a manager, but do you remember one quite as big as this? Quite as maybe influential as this? You go and have a very big win over Tottenham and you do what you did in Europe.
Yeah, it's weird with those things, because in the end the game preparation stays the same, and you can't do much more or less than you usually does. So it's about staying focused, and I think that's the important part when you're playing games that obviously takes a lot of emotions to quickly learn how do we recover, how do we refresh in order to be prepared to play and perform again.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because you've got to get yourself in a place, haven't you, for another huge game on the weekend. And it's not just physically, but how well have your team adapted to the kind of mental challenges as well?
So far, very good. But that doesn't mean anything for the future if you don't continue to do it. So I think it's really getting that balance right. If you're winning or losing, you can have a day to sulk, you can have a day to celebrate, but after that you need to go back to reality, and it's work to be done. And we've been doing that very well, but we need to continue to do it very well.
And I guess a lot of that comes down to the characters of your side and how you've seen them grow into their roles, and how impressed have you been with what they've proved capable of?
I mean, there is a lot of things that impresses me with this group of players and staff, but the versatility and the adaptability during the season so far, managing having key players out, and it all stems from the culture that you create daily, to train the right way. So that means that you're going to prepare the right way, and that means that players will be ready to come in when they get the chance. But that I'm very grateful to work with people that are so mentally strong, so they're able to do that.
Did you stay up late and watch Chelsea last night?
I did, actually. For once I did it for just to watch both Champions League games, just for pure entertainment at that time, and I wasn't disappointed. It was a game that had a lot, and congratulations to Chelsea. I think it's a huge achievement for English women's club football to have two teams in the top four in Europe. So I think that's not only something that Arsenal and Chelsea should be proud of, but also the WSL and the FA, because there is a lot of people that have worked extremely hard over many years to help things like this become a reality.
Just actually figures just in, I think 500,000 fans have now attended Women's Super League games, and it's obviously off the back of a hugely successful summer. How good does it feel to be a part of what's going on right now?
It's a great movement, and like I said after the game, I really feel that history is changing here in front of our eyes, and that's special. And I think and hope that this is just the beginning of something really, really big.
Can I just ask you about a couple of injuries as well before
Sure.
I let you go? So first of all, Katie McCabe, I know she was going to go for another scan. How's she looking? Do you think she'll make City? But I guess more importantly, what's the problem and when might we see her back?
We're hopeful for her participation in the weekend, but we of course need to do all the medical investigation, and once we know all the details, then we communicate if we feel that there is a need for it. But like I said, she's very hopeful here for the weekend, so that's good.
Yeah, and Kim Little, how is she?
Kim is the same thing with Katie, that we're still doing medical investigation on it. She's more doubtful here now for the weekend, but the same process as with Katie. Once we know fully the extent of the injury, then we can communicate.
Thank you. Bradley from TalkSport. Go ahead.
Hi Jonas, hope you're well. Is this almost the perfect time to play Man City after the week you've just had? Because I'm sure your players must feel like they can beat anyone put in front of them after Wednesday night.
I think this is what you need to make it perfect times as a team, with the way that you handle the situation. And I think if you have a mindset that frames it in a positive way, that always helps to start that process. So we wouldn't have wanted it any other way. If we would have choose to have Man City and not be in the Champions League and be able to train the whole week, we much prefer having those experiences at the Emirates, qualifying for the semi-final, and now having a little bit shorter lead up to this game here. But being able to experience that midweek was perfect for us.
What does it say about the mentality of your side? Because you've already been hit hard by injuries this season, with Beth Mead and Vivian Miedemar being out for a long time. But then to lose Kim Little early on in midweek, and then to lose Katie McCabe as well, and yet still come through and get a result, that must really please you, the mentality of this side. Yeah, but I also think that's part of a whole football season, that it's not a lot of teams that you will see that it's imperfect situations all the time. So handling adversity, handling changing situations, it's part of if you want to be a successful football teams. But the players have been doing that very, very well so far this season, and if that can be a part of our culture to handle situations when you're facing them, that's going to be important. Then we also want to limit those situations to happen as much as possible, of course. And how important was it to have the support of Edu, and more importantly, Mikel Arteta in midweek? We just have Mikel Arteta in here now, and he was saying it was a beautiful moment for him to be a part of, and he hopes that he can use the women's team as an inspiration to the men.
I think, like I said after the game, when you work inside the club, you understand that these words are not only words, they are actions, and you feel like you're working in one club, and that's the environment that has been created here, and we're all very thankful to be in that, and to be inspired with all the great coaches and great players that are inside these buildings.
And lastly from me, you briefly touched on it, but what does it say about the strength of the WSL now, but we've got Arsenal and Chelsea in the final four in the Champions League this season?
I think it says a lot, because also when we have seen the games, we have a Manchester United and a Manchester City, which I think have played incredibly well so far this season, and they also have the quality to go very, very far in Europe. So that means that, of course, we're playing a lot of games which are really challenging, But not only that, you see a team like Aston Villa and the football that they are producing. It's amazing and really high level football. So it's I think to speak of only 4 might be a mistake to do. There will be more clubs coming, and this will be the strength for the league. And this is what no other European country will have at this moment, to have a league that can have so much competition, so much drama in, so much entertainment in, and hopefully that can be a real driving force for financial investment to get the best players in Europe coming here to play in England and making it the strongest league.
That's great. Best of luck this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bradley. Rachel at the back there.
Is there a bit of a transition now that you're playing at these bigger stadiums, you're playing at the Emirates, going now back to the smaller stadium during the week, especially when you're playing them so close together?
No, we used to it. we used to it, and I mean the players are used to it. It's and that's also a way where you need to show adaptability. It's not always easy, but they're used to it. They go to Wembley in front of 90,000, and then they go back and they play pre-season in front of almost no one. So, but you still need to be 100% in what you do.
You were talking about momentum the other day as well, and obviously another big result for you. How much has that momentum even shifted over the course of this week?
I think we have been in a strong momentum with our performances this whole block. Even if the results, sometimes like the first leg against Bayern or when we played Chelsea in the FA Cup, was not in our favour, we felt that our performances were good, and that builds a lot of self-confidence. Because strong performances does not guarantee the results you want, but it's definitely a factor which you can control, and more often than not it will lead to the result, and the score will take care of itself from that. So if you can continue to produce performances like that build self-confidence and then obviously momentum. So it's up to us again to produce a strong performance against City, and we need to do that because they're a very strong team.
Brilliant, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. We'll come to the call now. Tim.
Hi Jonas, I've got 2 questions about Noel Maritz that I've had on my list to ask you for a little while. The first one's more of a soft back to one. We spoke earlier in the season and Noel was not involved, but Laura Wienreuter was certainly getting more of the minutes there. And now I look and Noel's starting both games against Bayern and finishing them both. Chelsea, you said to me that the way she trained in the week building up to that convinced you to pick her for that game. North London derby, Noel's really fought her way back. And just on the soft factor side, how pleased have you been with her kind of response? Because she didn't do a lot to lose her place, really. And so, yeah, just to kind of, I guess, fight back a bit.
I think when we talk about create a culture and how you use training and how you use your time to prepare for when you get the chance, I think that is fundamental for building something successful. Noel is a good example of that here now. I could use Frida Monum as an example, who got limited playing time last spring, but now you look at her 1 year later and where she's at and what she has produced since then. And that is all due to the way she applied herself on the training pitch and developed. And it's the same with Noel here now. And I think the more examples we have and we can see that, the better we create the training culture and people can see that this is the way that we work in Arsenal. If you don't get selected, you get your head down, you work even harder, you apply yourself even better, you take that time to develop, and when you're coming back you will help the team even more than you even did before. And I think if everyone can think like that, you become unstoppable.
And my second question about Noel's a bit more of a tactical one. We spoke a couple of months ago, I think, about adjusting to a different player to Beth Mead on the right wing, and you talked about the relationship with the fullbacks. And I kind of noticed the last 3 or 4 games that when Victoria Pelova starts on the right, you almost always have Noel behind her. And I wondered what it was you liked about that combination on the right-hand side.
I think Victoria and Noel plays very well together, but sometimes that has been the case all the time can also sometimes be a coincidence of other factors. So for me, if we just talk about our right fullbacks, Laura can very well play with Victoria also. There's nothing in Laura's game that says she can't play with Victoria. That's also a very good fit for us. So that's more of a coincidence that it's have been so that strict, but they definitely have attributes that fit well together when they're playing.
Thanks, Jonas. Speak Sunday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Henry from the Daily Mail.
Hi Jonas, I was just wondering whether how you see Manchester City. Is it potentially the most difficult league game to play right now, given their form, given how they're playing?
I see them as a very strong team. They're very organized both on and off the ball. Very clear idea of how they want to execute their game plans. You could see that there is a team and coaching staff in harmony and synergy, and are working extremely hard to get those ideas across and be successful with them. When we have played them now twice this season, I've been very impressed with them. So I'm looking forward to the challenge to play against a strong team.
And now obviously we're heading into April tomorrow, so naturally the focus is going to turn on to the title race. And how is that something that you address with your players, and how do you help them to cope with the pressure of knowing, of course every game's a big game, but especially now in this run-in, there's 4 teams pushing for the title. How do you keep your players focused and calm and confident?
But the reality is that's the mindset that you have to have from September. I know it feels more decisive the closer you come to the table finishing, but as a mindset, if you want to be champions, you have to think like that from the first kick of the season. You can't think that you're going to play those games with less pressure, or that the points is valued less in the beginning of the season, because they have exactly the same value. So if there is one thing for our culture to do, is to say we always want to apply ourselves 100%. And it doesn't matter if it's the last game of the season or if it's the first game of the season. So for us, nothing changes.
Lovely, thank you. Good luck Sunday.
Thank you.
Brilliant. We'll leave it there. Thanks very much, everyone.